he was a technician, right? And so when I used to watch him, you ever watch somebody and you see him come out and you say to yourself, man, I wonder how this kid is going to be. And the more you watch them, it's like, yo, you fell in love. I remember the first touchdown that I saw him catch. That I was like, yo, this dude, that was the Michigan game, right? When he went up over the top.
For the touchdown.
I don't know. He should have done this to the dude.
That was before that started, but he definitely should have. He definitely should have. That was his best play.
He should have got him. Man, welcome to the Lucky Lefty podcast. None other than former Notre Dame wide receiver and former NFL wide receiver, Chris Finke. Welcome into the Lucky Lefty podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for the generous intro, Shaun, and hello, Malik. It's good to be on the show. Thank you guys for having me.
What's up, Pete?
Before we get to the breakdown of what we're going to be talking about, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm still trying to keep playing football. So I got hurt during training camp, and I'm basically just staying in shape and, waiting to see if my agent will call me with anything coming through the pipeline. But, nothing so far, but still chasing the dream as of now.
How's rehab coming, man? I know you were in camp with the Kansas City Chiefs, right?
Yep. Yeah, I was with the Chiefs, got hurt pretty early in camp. So it's been long enough now that I feel real good. So I'm just, staying in shape, running routes and working out and hoping I get another opportunity, but we'll see.
So the Lucky Lefty podcast, we say we spin it different.
Nice.
Is the spin different from
yeah, talk about the spin.
The spin different from Patrick Mahomes. Did you get an opportunity to catch a ball from that dude?
I did. The spin itself, if we're taking it literally, I would say is not that different.
But, yeah, we're taking it literally.
But so I was a undrafted guy and got signed in the offseason free agent. So I started kind of at the bottom. I did work my way up to get a few reps with the ones, and there's just one specifically where it's just like a 4 verts concept, and in the huddle he's calling the play. He goes, "All right, where's my seam?" And I'd say, "That's me." He's like, "All right, Nichols can come down on you. You got to get around him and then snap around him real quick. It's going to be in your chest." And exactly as he said it, it happened. I watched it on film, and I'm barely finished with my release, and he's cocked back about to throw the ball, and squeezing a tiny window, and he's just on a different level.
Man, we got Chris Finke here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. Before we get into the breakdown of the Notre Dame wide receivers against the Oklahoma State wide receivers in the Fiesta Bowl, your thoughts about Marcus Freeman as the head coach, and kudos to you and some of your former teammates. I want to say you guys really had a spaces days before the announcement came and pretty much just said, yo, this dude is the next head coach at Notre Dame. Did you guys really feel that in the moment, or is that something you guys wanted to put out there and get the buzz and the vibe going in that direction?
All right, let me say about the spaces. I didn't really know what a Twitter Spaces was. One of my boys sent the link to it, and I just got in there, and then next thing I know, I'm talking, and then I get off and I find out there's 5,000 people listening. But it was Mick Asaf. I don't think he knew it at that point, but I think he was trying to create some buzz. But from my standpoint, I obviously didn't know what was going to happen, but I was hopeful that they would hire someone internally, either him or Coach Reese, who, I played for Coach Reese, so I know him better, but the guys who played for Coach Freeman and everything I've heard about him really like him. So I was hoping for an internal hire just to keep things, I guess, as close to how they are now, because I think Notre Dame's in a pretty good spot the way they've been playing the last few years, and great spot moving forward with recruiting class and everything. So keep as many guys on as you could to keep those kids coming in, and just with an external hire could have been great, could have been someone great, but it starts to feel more like a rebuild. So I was pretty happy with the choice to keep Coach Freeman on and how much staff we were able to retain.
Yeah, if you talk about it, just being with Tommy Reese, I played with him, and then seeing him coach, and then I played with you. So to end up playing with your offensive coordinator and playing with you is kind of weird. But talk about the difference and the change in offense that you got to see when Tommy was really running the show, as opposed to when we had all the different types of things we had going on.
Yeah. I mean, the type of offense. So when I played for Coach Reese, he was the quarterback's coach except for one game, which was the bowl game. So for me personally, probably not a ton change because you go through a whole season with what's working, and not a ton's gonna change. He did throw in some cool stuff that I like, just motioning guys around, getting people in different spots, just as much as you can do pretty much for like one bowl game without stripping out the offense or anything. But the way I think about Coach Reese and how much people like to play for him is like you said, like you played with him, I played with you, and then I played for him. So there's not like a huge age gap to like.
Yeah, it's not a huge age gap.
I can feel like I'm close with Tommy. You know what I mean? Like a guy that I can actually like be a person around and not have to be buttoned up around because he's my coach. But at the same time, like he can be very demanding at the right times. And a lot of times when that comes from someone you respect as a peer almost, not, I don't want to put it on that level too much, but coaches always want players to lead players because it means a lot coming from someone who you respect on that level. So some guy who you can feel comfortable around personally and then can also get you to, get locked in and get serious at the right times. Like, I think that's super valuable.
No doubt.
So once again, it's the Lucky Lefty podcast. I'm Shaun Davis at SD2 Mics. The original Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire at Overtime Malik. Special guest, Chris Finke at Slippery Fox 10.
Slippery Fox.
The narrative of Notre Dame and wide receivers is you have to wait your turn. And that's the way most people feel. We saw Lorenzo Styles and Deion Colzie get a lot of tick due to injury. Joe Wilkins got hurt and Avery Davis. Do you think that changes under Tommy Rees? Do you think incoming freshmen like CJ Williams will get the opportunity to come in and make an impact immediately?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, honestly, I would say that not the guys. I would say the guys have had the opportunity, and just because a lot of freshmen haven't played doesn't mean that they couldn't have played. It's just that coming in as a freshman, it's such a change from where you were in high school, and the demands are so high that a lot of times, a guy that young doesn't have the trust of the coaches, I guess, to take what would come from being in a huge role on that offense. So a lot of times you see, like with Lorenzo Styles this year, like he gets worked in gradually as the season goes on, and by the time you get to late season, like he's making plays and he's in there, so he's capable. But I think there's just such an adjustment period with learning the offense and being able to handle all the responsibilities that come with being a like every down receiver in Notre Dame's offense. And the other thing I'll add to that is that when you get there as a freshman, there's usually some older guys who are ahead of you on the depth chart, obviously. Yeah. So your first opportunities come as like giving a guy a breather in a practice, or a guy goes down in practice, and you got to be ready to be plugged in at boundary, field, and slot, just because you don't know who's going to need a breather. And if you're the best freshman, they're going to want to put you at any three of those spots. And that's such a hard ask for a young guy to know three spots and to know the whole offense as concepts and not just here's my boundary receiver, here's the route that I run on this play. Yeah. So I think that just takes a little longer for some freshmen, and guys are obviously capable of it. You see Lorenzo Styles and Deion Colzie's been getting in there as well. Lorenzo's been making a lot of plays and racking up some yards here in the last few games. So you see guys are capable of it, but it might just take a little longer. And going forward, it might not take as long, but we'll see.
So if we get ready to go into the Fiesta Bowl, let's get into these two wide receiver cores. And if you want, feel free if you want to throw the tight ends in there, that's fine. Mike Gundy has had a great history of being innovative, especially offensively. So this team is a far departure from what we normally get to see for Oklahoma State. It's definitely inverse of what Oklahoma State has been, with the defense being more dominating and the offense sputtering, especially the passing game, with Spencer Sanders at the helm. So, they have the long list of they always put receivers into the NFL. You got Justin Blackman, you go to Dez Bryant. Give me, I guess, your overall thought about the wide receiver core for the Cowboys.
Okay. So before I say this, I do want to preface by saying I'm not, watching tape like I was when I was in college. my main viewing is on a Saturday is of Notre Dame and not Oklahoma State. But I did look into some statistics to prepare for coming on.
Oh man, that's that alter education, man. Well prepared always. The slippery fox. He's probably got some betting information for us too.
If you want some, I'll give you some. But so the Oklahoma State wide receivers, as I looked at their stats as a whole, you have Martin at the top with almost 1,000 yards, which is really impressive. I mean, I think our top guy is Kevin with like 760 or something like that. So obviously their top performer is outperforming our top performer, and they are pretty balanced from there on out. You got guys with like 300, 400, whatever yards. So like they spread it around as we do as well. I have this like preconceived notion that the Big 12 is just a bad defensive conference. So I think that there's something to be said there. And the only Oklahoma State game I really watched this year was them against Baylor last week. So anybody who's an Oklahoma State fan, like, if I'm totally wrong, feel free to get mad at me. But I am a biased Notre Dame graduate, former player, and now fan. So you can't really get mad at that. But I mean, I think if you take that at face value, that the Big 12 is a bad defensive conference, and you see how they played against Baylor, and they had like quarterback had some trouble with that Baylor defense throwing some picks, and like point in like the second quarter where they looked like they were just afraid to call a pass. Like I think our D-line can get to them even more than the Baylor's can. And I think I have good faith in our DBs as well. And then the other thing I'll say, this is what I noticed just from a statistical standpoint. Out of all the receivers, their longest catch this season is by their running back for 52 yards. And out of the receivers, it's 38 yards. So they're not really taking the top off anybody. We got dudes, if you look all the way down, it's like 58, 60, 50, 40, 55. Like we got dudes busting explosives all over the place. Not that they can't, but that they maybe haven't. Again, biased viewer. I like the Irish a lot.
See, that was an elite stat. That's a pro football focus type of stat. Knowing the running back had the most explosive play of the season so far. That's why they call you the slippery fox, man. You always prepared when you least expect it.
See, I had to have something to say coming in here, knowing that I don't know really anything about Oklahoma State.
But that's a great point. I would love to ask you because the perception of how we go about playing everybody throughout the country throughout the year. Big 12 isn't a thought on our mind during the season. Like, oh, they have great teams. Just explain the perception of being in that receiver room, going against different styles of defenses each and every week, and how it kind of makes us feel smug talking about an Oklahoma State defense that supposedly is really good, but like you said, we're not really thinking about Big 12 of a defensive team. But just explain what that perception and how it changes as you're playing USC one week, UNC the other week, then you're going down and playing an SEC team for the end of the year. It's kind of encompasses all of college football almost.
Right, yeah, that is a fun part of our schedule is that we play people from all over, and we're not just kind of in one box. But I think at my time there, we played Texas my freshman sophomore year, but I wasn't in those games, and I wasn't really having to prepare for how to play them. So the only Big 12 team I actually played against was Iowa State, and they ran that weird like 3-3-5 type defense. It was
that's the Big 12.
Yeah, but so you think about conferences in a certain way, and we played Iowa State and beat them. I don't know what it was, like 33-7 or something like that. So you see an Iowa State team that like all season has been like doing well in the Big 12, and you get on the field with them, and like for me, just kind of solidifies like how I view the Big 12. And I mean, this is 2019, so it's 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Teams are good all over the place, but even if it's not true, I will say, thinking that doesn't mean you're not going to prepare as hard if you're in the Notre Dame receiver room right now. But it could give you a little extra confidence boost. Like, all right, we got these guys. Big
we got these guys.
Yeah. Even if it's not true at all, just having a little more confidence going into the game, thinking like I'm better than this team, like that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's crazy. Yeah, especially when you talk about getting to just explain the relaxed kind of feeling it is when you're going into a bowl game. Yeah, those 15 practices serious, but it's almost like a mini camp. Like you're building back up to it because you took some time off. But just explain the process of those 15 practices before the bowl game.
Yeah, that is a good point. We have, especially with no conference championship game, we have that week off and then find out the bowl game and get right into it. So you have a long time to prepare. And yeah, like you said, 15 practices. That's as much as a spring ball is, which is kind of crazy when you think about it for one game. So I mean, usually the first few will kind of be just getting back into it after the week off. Not as much scheme, I guess, or preparation exactly for who you're going to be facing, and then they'll get into like installing specific stuff for the game, getting the broad game plan nailed down, and then as the week of the game approaches, you've worked all that and you're pretty solid on it. They can make any tweaks to it that they like, or add little new wrinkles here and there for things that have popped up on film in the further study that they like. So it's fun having a game that you can prepare for that long and just see all the different things that the coaches can think of, all the things that you can see in practice and relay to the coaches, and then finally getting to put it on the field after all that time and culmination of your season, and hoping to end on a win and go into the offseason on a high note. It's a really fun experience, obviously.
You talk about those 15 extra practices. Who does it benefit more? Veterans like a Kevin Austin Jr. or Braden Lindsay, or will it be Deion Colsey and Lorenzo Styles Jr. that really benefit the most from these 15 practices going into the bowl game?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there is a really good opportunity for it to benefit the younger guys, especially because a huge chunk of the practices are when school's not happening. You take your finals midway through that preparation, and then it's just football. So it does feel like camp again. So, these kids, they have the opportunity if they want to, and they should, but, it takes a while for some guys to figure it out sometimes, but, be in the building all the time, get in the film, ask coach everything you need to know, and just feel really solid on it. Whereas, in the season, a freshman who maybe is still struggling figuring out his time management with class, and, he's got practice on top of that, and then homework or whatever. Like I said, the academic stuff that he's having trouble figuring out potentially. Not saying these guys are, but being a freshman, I knew it was kind of a struggle at times, and I didn't even have to play. So, it could be overwhelming to have to figure out what to do on the field and balance all your new responsibilities that you're not quite used to yet. So I think this opportunity is great for young guys to have just ball, looking forward to a big game, figuring out what the coach is, getting on the field, repping it, getting it right.
So give us the breakdown of how you thought the individual receivers have developed throughout the season. Braden Lindsay is more of a, take the top off the offense guy. Off the defense guy. I think his route running has gotten a lot better, especially in the last year or so. Kevin Austin Jr. To us, we always talked about that we were disappointed in his inconsistency early in the season, how he allowed defensive backs to take him out of his game. He's really grown in the last 4 or 5 weeks, become more consistent and more dominant. It's almost like, to me, he's almost like a Rottweiler, because they're still like 100 pounds when they're babies. So they don't really know that they're big. And it's kind of like he caught up mentally, like, oh, I am the big dude.
Yeah, I am 6'4". I can't go out there and get right.
Let me go out here and dominate. And then you have the freshman. How big of a loss for you? You worked inside. How big of a loss was Avery Davis, especially at the point in the season that they lost him due to injury, and then having to put a freshman in that spot and change him from being outside? How did that really impact Lorenzo Styles as well?
Yeah, so I'll start with the Avery Davis injury. Obviously a huge blow. He was consistently making plays for the team, especially when we needed him. And a veteran guy who knows what he's doing and knows what everybody else should be doing and can kind of lead out there on the field as well as on the practice field. So huge blow, obviously, but it's just a testament to Lorenzo Styles and how well he's prepared. I did pro day this past spring at Notre Dame, and I met him and watched a couple practices, and I really liked the way he worked and his desire to learn more and to know more. And it's kind of going back to what I said earlier with, like you said, him being an outside guy, and they bring him into the slot to replace Avery. Like I said, those freshman guys, their opportunities are going to come when someone else's go away. So it's really a testament to him being ready to play in the slot and not just memorizing, tunnel vision. I got this outside route on this play and having no idea what the slot's doing. So I'm really impressed with what he's done. and been able to work his way into the offense on a more consistent basis and make some explosive plays. And then the other receivers as well. It's a pretty veteran group as far as, what class they are. But as far as getting in a rhythm and having played a lot, like you talk about Kevin Austin, really before this season, the last chance he had to really play was 2018, which is 4 years ago. And that was in a reduced role. So, he is a senior, but in ways he's like a young guy as well early in the season because he's never had the weight of like a Miles Boykin, Chase Claypool role, being in that boundary and being the guy they go to. So, naturally it would take a little time to figure out. Usually guys have, like me, I had a couple years to get in the offense and get some action here and there and figure it out and then gradually build to that big role. And, Kevin was kind of thrust into it. So I think he did a really good job of living up to that. And obviously some struggles came with it, but now that you have a whole season under your belt, basically, he's just kind of hit a groove. And then Braden as well, you mentioned. I think it's fun for me because, I've seen these guys practice all the time while they were young guys, and now people are getting to see it on the field. So, people, what they had seen of Braden before was basically like jet sweep and post, which that's all you see. That's all he can do. But I've seen him in practice and know that he can do all the rest of the stuff too. So it's been really fun for me to watch him and the other guys get in there and have those every down opportunities. And, I'm bummed that Avery got hurt as well. And Joe Wilkins as well, because Joe's one of my favorite guys and I was really looking forward to watching him this season. But all things considered, I think the Notre Dame receiving corps has done a really good job this season of stepping up when they need to and filling roles that haven't been theirs before.
All right, Chris Fink, you are Tommy Rees come January 1st at about 1 o'clock. How are you attacking this Oklahoma State defense with this wide receiver corps?
All right. Again, I'm not breaking down film on the Oklahoma State defense.
He's so funny.
So don't expect me to have any sweet
Don't
ideas.
expect us to send this to Tommy to give him some advice.
Dude, let your bias show through. Just let your bias show through. Say we're going to put up 500 yards.
You can't go wrong with what's been going well. So obviously you feed Mayer all the time, so we can include tight ends. You get Kevin involved, deep balls, whatever, crossing routes, let him get the ball in his hands, get some yak. Lorenzo's been doing the same. You throw him like a bubble screen once a game, he's going to bust it for like 40 yards. And then, use Braden as well, like we've been talking about, get him on those comebacks outside, threaten with speed, and then create separation wherever you need to. So that's just what they've been doing all season. But I really look forward to in bowl games because that extra time to prepare. There's always some like cool stuff drawn up with some, either trick plays, like not quite trick plays, but things that'll make the defense confused. You saw it with what Alabama did to everybody in the playoff, us included last year, with like all those Devontae Smith motions and had dudes just absolutely lost. Like you have all that time to draw that stuff up and work on it. So even in the regular season, Coach Rees has had some really cool stuff drawn up that I've noticed and loved, and I think he'll, with this extra time, obviously have some more time to get some stuff like that drawn up. So not going to pretend I know what it's going to be or what it should be, but I will say be on the lookout for some cool play calls.
All right, we got some comments for you here. Chris Drunk Vigo says Fink might be making a fortune in crypto.
Yeah, what?
What's that crypto wallet talking about?
Right.
You was up there in San Francisco where all that stuff was going on.
Huh?
You was up in San Francisco in the beginning where all the crypto stuff, Silicon Valley. I know you got into it.
Look, being there doesn't mean you're involved. If you're at the Super Bowl, it doesn't mean you played in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
I got some chump change a little bit just because somebody told me to one time, but
yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm worried about how they get such a specific comment that you've been diving into the crypto world, like they exposed your secret or something. Man.
I don't know if I just look like a guy who would be doing it, which I don't think is necessarily a great thing.
Yeah, that might be the new compliment moving forward, man. You look like a guy that gets into crypto pretty heavy, man.
I don't think I want that as my brand. But if it happens, so what?
Straight up.
Lucky Lefty Podcast, special guest Chris Finke, former Notre Dame wide receiver, NFL wide receiver, right here with myself, Shaun Davis at SD2 Mics, and Malik Zaire at Overtime Malik. Now, earlier you did mention that you might have a piece of advice for our listeners and everyone that's watching. So if I said, give me a 3-team parlay.
Oh, boy.
For the NFL this weekend. You said you got the tip. So give me a good 3-team parlay.
For NFL, you said?
For NFL.
I thought we were talking about Notre Dame still. I was just considering the Irish -2.
Yeah, I think we're good on Notre Dame one.
Yo, my lock this weekend is Green Bay.
Who they play?
They play the Bears.
Oh, yeah.
Up at Lambeau, and, after Aaron Rodgers, I had to put him on the petty train for doubling down when he was asked about saying
he did double down, huh?
He doubled down like, yeah, I don't regret it. I own them. I think it's going to get worse, and I think Matt Nagy might actually get his pink slip after the game on the field. Like, yo.
Yeah, if Aaron Rodgers beat you after telling you, yeah, he doubled down on it, yeah, you got to be fired. You got to. You just going to let him talk to you like that?
That's tough.
So I have a piece of video for you guys, man. It's going to lead to a question, right? So Emil Wagner, offensive tackle for the 2022 recruiting class, had a video go viral for something totally different than what he's coming to Notre Dame for. And it reminded me of a video of another great offensive lineman at Notre Dame, Quentin Nelson. He went viral in the same sport. So you guys check this out, and then I have a question for you. So that's 275 pounds, 6'5", getting up like that. Went viral just like Quentin Nelson when he dunked, leading up to the NFL draft. And teams were like, oh, my God, we didn't know this guy was this athletic, as big as he is. My question to you guys is, who was the best hooper on the squad?
Oh, man, yeah.
Who was the best hooper on the football team during your time in Notre Dame?
I got my couple of opinions, but
go ahead.
I love your opinion.
You want me to go?
I think you should go, Finke.
All right. I will. First, I'll start by saying you ask almost anybody this on our team, and they'll say themselves. We would get into some heated pickup games. And everybody thought they were the best, and everybody thought that they could have gone pro in basketball if they chose to, but that actually wasn't even close to true for most guys. But I'll say in those pickup games, the toughest guy to have not on your team was probably Mike McGlinchey, in my opinion.
My God, yes, I was going to say, Mike McGlinchey's a really good basketball player.
Dude, McGlinchey. No way. Yes, was he like 6'8"?
He's like unreal.
Dude,
he's like a Euro big, or is he like
a big ass Porzingis or something? He can shoot, he can poke. Like, Mike is really good. I was so surprised.
He does everything. Obviously, he can work you in the post. Like, if it's a pickup game amongst the football team, like, he's the biggest dude. He's going to give you some baby hooks and all that. But then he'll step out, he'll handle the ball, he'll facilitate, and he'll knock down threes. It was insane.
Like he's actually a ridiculous basketball player. I'm like, Mike, why do you move so good? Like, I'll never forget. I'm like, Mike used to look so stiff doing, like, tackle work. Like, you're so unathletic. But you get on the basketball court, you got, like, a Larry Bird game. Like, you're just so – I'm talking about the drop-offs. He's over there moving traffic.
Dude, you guys have just blown my mind. Mike McGlinchey?
Yep. I think
he's such a good basketball player.
He had basketball offers in high school?
I think he did.
Oh, he had to. Because I was just like, Mike, you're playing the wrong sport in the beginning. Because he would just be so good. And then Ronnie was good too. Ronnie was a good basketball player, but Ronnie was kind of lazy, But man, like, yeah, we had some real. I mean, now Ev was really good at playing basketball. He just a ball hog. I mean, we had a lot of great basketball players. Even Deshaun can play basketball.
Yeah,
Deshaun was a pretty good baller too. So,
dude, Doug Randolph. I got a story about Doug. So we have at Notre Dame this thing called the Bookstore Basketball Tournament, which is like really big 5-on-5 tournament that they play. They call it bookstore because we played on the outdoor courts outside the bookstore. And we technically weren't supposed to be playing in it when we were there, but everybody had a team. And my sophomore year, I was on a team with Deshaun Kaiser, Montgomery Van Gorder, Doug Randolph, a couple other guys. And we got to play one game. We eventually had to withdraw because another kid who was on the football team tore his ACL. Bookstore basketball.
Tore his ACL playing. Oh my God! Yeah, we can talk about that later.
So all the coaches found out and they said, if you're on a bookstore basketball team, you better drop out right now. But we got one game in, and Doug Randolph, he was a defensive lineman, super athletic dude. I don't know, like 6'4", whatever. Our first game was against some economics professors. And they had their wives and young children courtside watching, and it was so funny. It was, little kids going, "Go daddy, go daddy!"
Yeah.
Boom! Doug just dunking all over him, like not even like these dudes are like standing in the paint trying to take charges like technical basketball, and Doug is just two-handed stuffing it in their faces in front of their children.
Oh, I'm telling you, Doug was the strongest basketball player I've ever seen. Like, you talking about, he wouldn't just dunk regular. Doug would be like lifting weights as he's jumping in the air to dunk. But he was also pretty good. Like, Doug wasn't no slouch. Like, Doug could have ran 6-man after he got done with playing football. He definitely could have gotten the battle because he was ridiculously strong and athletic. So just imagine, like, just a monster, like a Space Jam monster from the movie, out there on these economic professors. Guys is teaching for a living. He's out there giving lessons. Doug is out there blessing folks.
So what year was that when you guys got banned from the bookstore tournament?
2000, and it was the spring of 2017.
Oh, so
Yeah,
that was coming off that 2016 season.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or wait,
yeah, types of things around.
Before that season? I don't know. It was either way. It's indicative.
Whatever year Omar did The Bachelor and tore his ACL, that's the year that we was. He did the student version of The Bachelor, and then
you bookmark it with The Bachelor.
So much crazy stuff happened.
Hey, here's something for you guys. Irish Hammer 54 says, do you guys feel Freeman will bring back the former players and make things more family at Notre Dame like in the past? Hit those sidelines full of legendary players to get things hyped. Let's get it.
I hope so, because the one thing that prevented a lot of guys now is that you'll call back up to school and they'll act like you're brand new. They'd be like, wait a minute, I'm not a recruit. Like, remember me? I was just there like last year. Like, Coach Kelly be quick to be like, oh, I kind of remember you. But now, Marcus Freeman's from Dayton. So I know if anything, me and Fink,
here we go.
First class flights, passes, whatever we want, for sure.
937, baby.
937, come on. Me, Fink, and Ben Subman had to crawl for Marcus Freeman to walk.
Don't forget Nick Coleman.
Oh, Nick Coleman. Yeah, see, as I was saying, we got the hidden gems. Nick Coleman definitely too.
Man, I just realized, Malik, every guest on our show has been from Ohio to this point.
That's right.
I'm always caught in between two Ohio dudes.
Who else would you want?
Yo,
yeah, I don't understand the options here.
I'm glad Chris is here because he can settle this debate, right? So Malik was throwing shade at food in Chicago because he was like, dude, the city's huge. Like, of course you got decent food. So he's talking about how great the food was in the Dayton area.
Yeah, Dorothy Lane Market. Talk about the killer brownies. The
killer brownies. Dude, I'm glad you brought that up. You know who came up with the recipe for the killer brownie, Malik?
Ooh.
You remember Connor Wood?
Connor Wood came up with
No. His mom.
Wow.
Like one of my childhood best friend's mom, who would cook for us all the time. Her recipe was the killer brownie. She used to work at Dorothy Lane Market, and I think they might have kind of taken it from her, to be honest.
Oh yeah, you had to. Yeah,
But the one word to describe the killer brownie would be killer.
But talk about the food, because I'm telling him, like, we got things that you can't find anywhere else. So we got things like a Bill's Donuts. We got things like Dorothy Lane. But there's restaurants, you know what I'm saying, in Dayton, Ohio, that sets itself apart from an average Chicago pizza thing, because that's just what everybody wants to talk about, the pizza.
Why do you keep bringing up, dude? Only people outside of Chicago talk about pizza in Chicago. Nobody in Chicago talks about pizza. Are you kidding me? Really? You're gonna relegate us to just a pizza? That's our thing. We just.
No, I mean, I got a couple of spots, but it's, I mean, JJ's Chicken and Fish in Dayton, Ohio is just something different.
So you think JJ's is better than Harold's? Harold's is like international. NBA players come in, they land, they go to Harold's. But you want to talk about JJ's?
Yeah, some things just don't change, man. I'll just tell you that.
Boy, between you and Jordan Cornette, boy, I'm not gonna be able to deal. Y'all swear like Ohio is just the best at everything.
Listen, 2 of the top 5 teams in the country.
You ever been on an airplane?
From that state.
You ever been on an airplane?
Yeah, you ever been on an airplane?
Have I ever been on an airplane?
Yeah, have you?
Yeah.
Orville and Wilbur Wright, baby.
Here we go. Are we
Dayton,
that's where we're
Ohio.
going to go now?
Yeah. How you even gonna be connected if it wasn't for us, man? It's Dayton makes the world go round. Let's just be honest.
Malik, I gave you credit for that. Like the last 2 episodes when we had guests from Ohio. Did I not?
It's a reoccurring theme though, because you just find yourself saying, "Man."
All I'm asking is that you take the pizza tag off Chicago. I'm not asking for much. Can we get the pizza tag taken off Chicago?
We'll take the pizza tag off.
Thank you. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Chris, do you have to run?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay, you can stick around. Yo, did you guys know that EA Sports just announced that they're going to officially drop the return of the college football game, NCAA football, in the summer of 2023. A lot of people are excited about this, but this is my question. I always say, and Malik, you keep running from me and Matt, so eventually it's going to have to happen. It's going to have to happen. Keep running, but it's all good. I feel like, don't you know who a player is immediately when they pick their team? When you see who they pick, you're like, okay, I see how this dude is not that good. When they pick the best team, if you're like picking Tom Brady and Madden just off the bat, I question your skills. Because I figure by the time the summer 2023, Notre Dame squad will be pretty good on that game.
Oh yeah, I mean Notre Dame squad was good when it last dropped in 2014. That's when we was. I mean, I'll never forget. We stayed in the dorms. We waited till 12. We drove to the Walmart. The whole team drove to Walmart.
Right.
So we waited just to see our ratings on the game. We didn't really play the game
for selfish reasons. You just wanted to see your rating.
We just had to see what we was. So
you were gonna bump it up anyway. You're gonna bump up your rating anyway. So this is my question: who's your alternate squad? Because all 3 of us are gonna open the game, set up the dynasty with Notre Dame. Right, but you have to have an alternate squad that you rock with, right? Who's going to be the alternate squad? Mine was always Northern Illinois because it was always Northern Illinois. Always had a bunch of Chicago area kids that I knew from watching prep high school football.
Yeah,
so I knew they went to Northern Illinois, so I would get them and make them better. And eventually win a national championship. That was my alternate squad. Your alternate squad is going to be like Dayton or somebody. If they
alternate squad for me was definitely like a mid Tennessee State, Middle Tennessee, just because they were so bad, and I used to have a playbook, so I used to just take the playbooks and put on different teams. And when you beat somebody with the worst team on the game, you're talking about the ultimate brag. So.
Right.
Middle Tennessee was my team. I used to alternate team.
Chris, what about you?
I'm more of like a 3 random guy instead of just picking your team.
Okay.
But if I had to go with one of those, it would probably be Tulane, just because I like the Green Wave. And like
Green Wave.
You can put a playbook on anybody.
Right. That's right. True. Facts. I got Joe Dolores says Western Michigan was his squad. And also more love for Ohio. John Clinic, Casey Tasty Diner was with it in Dayton, and is Dewey's in Dayton.
Yeah.
Dewey's in Dayton.
Dewey's in Dayton. And we got Marion's Pizza. That's another hidden gem. Marion's is right next to our high school, so you know. And Piata, look, we got Piata. They sleep on Piata. Piata is Italian street food.
Piata.
D. Beasy says JJ's is slapping with a 2-piece fish and fries.
Look, we'll take over the whole channel. I might have to turn to the Food Network after this, talking about Dayton food.
Man, these comments. Oh man, here we go. Dylan Hampton says Marion's Pizza, Dayton, Ohio. You guys are loving this, aren't you? WDAO. Is that like a TV station in Dayton?
I don't know.
He called it a TV station.
Oh, dude. Raheem Pelham, love the podcast. Question: I hope I am wrong, but Buckner is giving me Wimbush vibe. Great runner, but never improved his accuracy as a passer. Thoughts?
Can you tell him that it's a straight system question?
Let me say I will not tolerate any Brandon Wimbush.
Yeah,
on the waves, please. My college roommate, one of my best friends.
Yeah, that's right. Tell him how Brandon could throw. It just if you tell him to run 50 times in a row and then tell him to pass, it's not an easy thing to do.
That's a good point. Coming from a quarterback, you would know better than I. I will say Brandon had one of the best deep balls I've ever received in my life.
That's right.
In general. But yeah, I mean, people don't know how hard it is, and people love to critique. So like I said, I'm not tolerating any Brandon Wimbush slander. You guys can speak on it if you want, but that's my boy.
No, we talked about it. I've talked to people around the program that work for various publications that cover Notre Dame during that time. I don't think they did a really good job of building the offense around Brandon's skill set. I think it was kind of like, fit a square into a peg hole. Just trying to force him to run your offense instead of really building an offense around his attributes. I mean, he was a dominant runner of the football. Dominant. Like, he could take over games. Like that USC game, that USC night game, he just took over in the first half. And it was like, okay. And then people get upset. They always want to point out the Miami game. And I think ultimately that's when we saw Ian come in the second half, and then things kind of changed from there. But, man, he was a stud, especially if you go watch his high school film. Like, you're looking like, yo, this dude can, like, sling the rock all over the place. And then all of a sudden he gets to Notre Dame. I just think from what I've heard that they didn't do a good job of forming an offense around his skill set.
But how does that happen? I mean, that's your starting quarterback. You talking about the offensive fit isn't right for him. I just think that's a part of a bigger scheme at the end of the day. It has to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Nick was there 2017, 16, so you know more than I would because I had left at that point.
Right. No, I think that's a good assessment. I mean, I think Brandon probably just wasn't able to ever get comfortable with what they were asking him to do. Obviously, you said he's a great runner, and the offense could have been formulated better to his skill set as well. But he was a great player in my mind, and unfortunate how things turn out sometimes with him ended up leaving. But I think he was a good player. I think, like so many good players in college football, things don't always stack up in a line to the perfect narrative or storyline that you would want. But up until that Miami game, I mean, people were loving him. The fans turned so quickly, which bothers me. Like, I don't know. Even this comment just came in. Like, Tyler Buckner's played like a little bit this season, and this dude's already worried about, he can't play next season. Like, just give the kid a chance.
And he hasn't played football since like 2019.
Right.
Steps on the campus and like you expect him to be Joe Montana in his piece. It's like,
no, I just do not expect him to have a hamstring.
Yeah, now that's crazy. We don't see a lot of quarterbacks pull a hamstring running.
If he don't have a hamstring injury, come on. What quarterback that's not starting all season gets a hamstring injury? They're running too hard. You didn't even have a hamstring injury. No, you did. But you know,
I that's what's been killing me lately is hamstring.
yeah.
But
So like, you're a receiver though. How hard is it to even do that? You would have to be straining yourself, right?
I don't know. I will say once you get one, it's so easy to get a second.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible.
Yeah,
oh boy. You guys know about this one? The little burger cart.
See, they popping up now.
They popping up with all types of stuff now.
I don't know if that's the name of the place or if there is a little burger cart. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it might just be a cart somewhere
Unless
floating
you're talking
around.
about Voltsies. You ever had Voltsies? That is a little burger cart, but that's not the name of it.
That's not the name of it though. Absolutely. They gotta go to what is it called? Oakwoods Pine Club. See, they don't even know about that.
No, there's the Oakwood Club and then there's the Pine Club. Two separate things.
Yes, the two different places. The Pine Club. Both great. We gotta take you there, Shaun. Definitely.
Hey, I'm all for it. So we hitting, man, when we go for the Ohio State game to do the live show, we're going to Mama Zaire's house, right? We're going to Grandma's house.
Oh yeah, that's next level though. That's a holiday event. That's a Thanksgiving, a Easter. You know, you go over to Grandma's house, but we're gonna start slow with you, Shaun. We're gonna have to build you up through the history.
No. I love cuisine. You don't have to start slow. You can throw me in. Don't treat me like that. Put me in. I know all the route trees when it comes to food, dude. Like, put me in.
We'll throw you in there.
Throw me in. Give me the best that Dayton has to offer. And I'll let you know. Especially if we're talking fish and chicken.
That's right.
See, somebody stood up for us, man. Stand up, Chicago. Search the Green 9. Girl in the GOAT. I got to go with Chicago. Girl in the GOAT is the best. Okay. Downtown area, very smooth, slick back. You can come in there casual. You can actually come in there on a date. Very versatile spot. Great food.
Y'all definitely winning with the names.
Girl in the GOAT. Check it out. It's the GOAT City. It's the GOAT City. You just had to throw the girl in there. Now, I stopped short of saying we have the best girls. I'm short of that. But we definitely are the GOAT City. All right. So, I don't know if you guys heard this. Like, it was all good just a week ago. But yesterday, according to sources that talked to Pat 40, the NCAA has rendered Kenny Pickett's fake slide illegal.
Really?
Moving forward, yes. So quarterbacks can't have that in their arsenal. Hey, I thought it was a sweet move, personally.
For nobody ever really think of that to do it, it was definitely sweet. But I mean, you know, they think about safety. If we start accepting fake slides, just imagine the type of hits we're gonna get.
So that's a lot of people are upset this morning. I don't know if you guys saw it. The Walker Camp All-American team came out, first and second team. And
yeah, what a bullshit ass list.
Man, I'm very shocked by some of course, Kyle Hamilton, first team at safety. But David Bell, first team over Jameson Wilson. Jameson Williams. That's a shock to me at the wide receiver position. Now, don't get me wrong. David Bell was dominant. He was dominant this year. And I will say Cam Hart probably had one of the best games of any defensive back against David Bell.
David Bell, yeah, straight up.
He gave up one big catch, and that pretty much was like 60% of his yardage that game. He held him under 100. But, dude, Jameson Williams has been dominant. And I don't think David Bell is better than, like, Garrett Wilson, in my opinion.
Yeah, they had the only Ohio State receiver, Chris Olave. He was the second team.
Yeah.
The two first team was David Bell and another surprise. It was the kid from where was he from? It wasn't any top
Jordan Atkinson from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Jordan Atkinson from Pittsburgh. So I'm like,
yeah, he's done damage though.
He's done damage, but that's not who I was thinking of as a first team. You know, I'm thinking of Jameson Williams. I'm thinking of the Chris Olaves of the world. But
no, the biggest mistake to me is quarterback.
Yeah, the quarterback was crazy.
There's no way Kenny Pickett should be over Bryce Young.
Right, I don't think Kenny Pickett has had a Heisman moment. Even the move was a Heisman but that's not a Heisman moment. You got Bryce Young playing Auburn. Coming back from playing Auburn, doing what he did against Georgia. He's definitely a first-team guy, but maybe it's because he's a freshman.
Would you say Kenny Pickett had a better season than C.J. Stroud?
Oh man, I think people counted that Michigan game so much against a Ohio State team.
Ohio State
They're
team,
like,
yeah.
that's the only formidable opponent that they feel like they probably faced all year.
Yo, that's why C.J. Stroud was petty early in the weekend. Was like, man, if it wasn't snowing, we would have lit them dudes up.
Tell the podcast about the perception of how we feel about Michigan and if we think they're actually really good or not. I feel like we have the same perception of Michigan and Notre Dame as Ohio State has of Michigan.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, I only played them 2 times while I was there, so it's not like an every year rivalry. So it's a little different as well for like fans who have been Notre Dame fans their whole life and been playing, been watching Michigan games for a long time, as opposed to like players who get there and have never played them and haven't been a Notre Dame fan their whole life. So I would say the rivalry doesn't feel as intense as like a USC does, just because we play them every year. But yeah, I mean, I think it's obviously a huge game. General dislike between the teams, I think, and we went 1-1 against them. We won at home and got smoked in the Big House, which was a huge bummer. But I do love to beat Michigan as a player, but I don't view them as like my least favorite team. And at Ohio State, they won't even write an M on the campus that week, so like it's not quite the same.
Yeah, that's a little deeper than I think most Notre Dame fans feel about Michigan.
Yeah,
that's not even Michigan's not even like the rival I dislike the most.
Like, yeah, who was the rival you dislike the most?
USC.
Gotta be
USC.
Yeah,
because my dad is a huge USC fan. It's like my dad grew up in the era when they had like that run of running backs. It was like Charles White, OJ, and they just had running back after running back, and that's when he fell in love with USC. So growing up, that's like USC. And then when my grandfather took me to my first Notre Dame game, I was like, thank you. It was like I had been smothered all my life, and I finally like saw the light, like, oh man, there is something besides USC. And that's why I became a fan immediately, man. So yeah, USC is like my most hated rival. And of course, where does my money go, Malik? For tuition? For my daughter?
USC. It's a double entendre or something like that. That's pretty crazy.
Life comes full circle, right?
It does. It does.
Here's another. Let's get to some of these comments, man, so we can get out of here. Hamburger Wagon in Dayton, Ohio.
I think people are making stuff up.
Yeah, carts and wagons, and I don't know.
I haven't heard of the last 4.
But it's called the Hamburger Wheel. It's literally a little cart. It's awesome. Been there since 1913.
I gotta check it out.
See, the history just keeps growing with Dayton. I turn around and find something new out every day.
Shout out to Irish Hammer, who's always checking in with us. 54, fantastic show. Thank you, Lucky Lefty is the best. We appreciate you, LL Nation. Go back to the top. Akron Zips for me, talking about the team. Shaun Hunter said that's the team, the alternate team he uses.
Probably the only person that used Akron Zips. Yeah, I've been good since before I was even here. I do want to ask you though, Chris Fink, going into those big bowl games, you've been on a lot of up and down seasons, but mostly good seasons. What was the attitude of the locker room? What was your attitude going into our big bowl games that you were able to be a part
of? I think the attitude was always the same. It's just like a general excitement to play the game and obviously a desire to win. One thing that frustrates me is when, like for example, this season, I don't know if anyone said it yet, but this is the type of season where someone is Notre Dame just missed the playoff. They probably don't care about this game. They're probably more disappointed about missing the playoff than winning this game. Yeah, that disappointment happens for, I don't know, a couple days, and you have so much time to shake it off. Like, if you think a dude playing in a college football game doesn't want to win that game more than any fan wants him to win it or anybody watching, like, you're out of your mind. Like, dudes want to win. Dudes are preparing to win. It's not like, oh, let's go to Phoenix. Let's go to Phoenix and hit the casino and then a game will happen. Like, that's not how it is. I've always been super excited. I want to beat the team we're playing, because as fun as like a bowl game is and a bowl trip is, like, if you end the season on a loss, like, a lot of people don't know this, like, your off-season workouts are just going to be so miserable.
Yeah.
Like Coach Bayless will make it just a little bit harder. Just like if you end on a win, it's just a little bit nicer going in the offseason. Even if it's not that much, it won't be like easy. You're still gonna work hard, but like just the attitude in the building will be like, all right, like we ended on a big win, like great momentum rolling into next year. Like everybody wants to win.
All right, Ethan Broom. I'm sorry, yo Z, Coach D. I'm assuming he's talking about Driscoll over at IB. Said if I wanted to know how good Nicholas Imaliva is to ask you. Dude, I believe you have a video up about Dante Moore and Imaliva on our YouTube channel, so you can search the archives for that. But go ahead, you're right out there. You've seen the young man. How good is he?
I think he can be really good, just considering, having a height that he does and being able to be athletic with it. I think that's just changing another part of the game that we can have where we have tall, athletic quarterbacks making plays. Obviously, it'll be helpful for him to see over the line. And, what he's been able to do in high school has been pretty impressive considering he's not a standstill guy. The last quarterbacks over 6'5" that I've seen are standstill guys, but not this kid. So it could be different dynamic for a team, especially like Notre Dame.
It's Santillo. Shaw, I guess he meant Shaun. Chris and Malik, my guys, love the podcast. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Love you too.
Jonathan Hakima, thanks for checking in once again, as you usually do. I usually went with UAB. I was sold by the Drago. Yeah, they are the Dragons. No, the logo is the Dragons. It's
the Blazers.
The Blazers, yeah.
Blazers. That's a trivia question.
Right. So, man, anything special that you want to point out, Chris? What are you doing? Let fans know where they can follow you. And other than getting ready to get back on the field in the NFL, is there anything else you want to promote?
I'll promote this shirt I'm wearing. There it is. JM, Jake Max. It's a company started by my buddy, named after his cousins, Jake and Max, who have special needs. And all the designs on the shirts are by people with disabilities. So it's a cool thing if you want to check it out. But no, nothing really to plug other than that. It's been a great time being on the Lucky Lefty podcast with you, Shaun and Malik. I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's just been great chopping it up with you guys. I had a great time.
Yo.
Yeah, man, we want to see you back out there, man.
Thank you.
And next time for the fans, hopefully you'll have more crypto information because I guess
I'll have to study up.
Let me tell you something, man. I'm going to leave this show mind blown. All day I'm going to think about Mike McGlinchey hooping, man.
Ask him about it. It's a crazy. I'm telling you, you'll be like, you need a hoop mixtape or something, man.
Really so now, because you were in San Fran, right? You played with the 49ers?
I did for a little bit last
year.
So
was he out there busting like NFL players on the court too?
No, nobody was playing basketball while I was out there.
Okay.
Now when you making that
right there, I'm like, wait a minute, man. Oh, I did look it up. He had offers from Penn State and Boston College in basketball.
Yeah, Boston
he was legit. Mike was legit.
Sure.
ACC basketball player.
Yo, that's bananas. So Mike was always the first pick. Like, you picking teams like, yo, I got Mike.
Yeah, he just super athletic to be playing basketball, to be as big as he is. And it's just it just makes you laugh a little bit, man. It tickles you for the day.
All right, this has been the Lucky Lefty podcast. Chris, before we let you go, I'm sure it's going to have plenty of bias in it, but what's your final score for the Fiesta Bowl?
Final score for the Fiesta Bowl. Notre Dame, 38. Ooh. Oklahoma State, 14.
Oh, we putting up points.
Points.
Kevin Austin, you hear that? You hear that, Fink? Kevin Austin, Brady Lindsey, Kyron Williams. Y'all hear that? Michael Mayer. Fink got y'all boys putting up 38. We like it.
Who was that said 30? Somebody said 35-10, right? The other day.
Somebody yesterday said 38-10.
38-10. And we were like, the 10 is more likely. Like, we definitely believe that Oklahoma State's going to be in the teens.
So, yeah, 100%.
But then, Spencer Sanders might give you 14.
Maybe.
Dude, bad if he looked against Baylor. Chris, you're absolutely right. if the Baylor defensive line made them uncomfortable, Marcus Freeman and this defensive line, yeah, it might be a long day in the desert for the Cowboys.
Let's hope so.
Man, absolutely. This has been the Lucky Lefty podcast. We thank Chris Finke at Slippery Fox 10 for joining us. Once again, we're featuring and brought to you by Onora Whisky. Go to OnoraWhiskey.com. Get some of that premium American whiskey, something to sip on January 1st to get you through the game, even if you want to have a little stogie along with it. It's the perfect thing to go with. It'll go perfect in a stocking for somebody as well for Christmas. Onora Whisky, get that premium American whiskey. And don't forget Fashion Geek. We run the city. AlonzoJackson.com. We'll put both links in the description of this podcast. We thank everybody that's joined in. LL Nation, as always, we salute you. Don't forget, subscribe, share, like. We're up there, man. We have a special package that's going to be going out to our 1,000th subscriber. Our 1,000th subscriber. We're getting there, and we're looking forward to continuing to grow. We appreciate you guys for all your support. Once again, we'll see you next Monday. Unless we have a reason to chime in this weekend with some breaking news. We'll see you Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. For my guys, Chris Finke and Malik Zaire, have a great weekend. And as always, we spin it different. Go Irish.